everyone, I'm Food for Dogs, and today is a Disgaea day. I did an unboxing video about 3 weeks ago, I think, doing the little box here, which is Disgaea 4 limited edition for the PS Vita. And if you want to catch up with that, just have a look back through the other videos, you'll find it. I noticed after I'd done that video that there really was a lot more I wanted to talk about, Disgaea being one of my favourite series, but also because there are several issues around it, especially to do with the current re-releases of Disgaea games coming to PlayStation 4 and also to the Switch, and opening the games up to a whole new audience. So I'll just go very briefly through a quick Disgaea timeline history, so to speak, and occasionally I will need to refer to my little notes for dates and such so I don't get them wrong. Anyway, the very first Disgaea game, Disgaea 1, was released back in 2003, and I'll just check that. Yes, January 2003, Disgaea Hour of Darkness for the PS2. Now, that game was remastered and re-released for the PS4, and it's now called Complete Edition. And I'll just show you, it comes with a reversible sleeve, so you can, if you wish, have a different titled sleeve. I have to say, when I booted up this new version, which I've only received recently, I was absolutely amazed. I just got to try and get that back in here. I played Disgaea 1, which was released as a PSP version and also on the Vita. I played it on the Vita quite a bit. I loved it. But at some point, the problem with the Disgaea games is that they can get really, really busy on the screen, because you've got this grid layout, and then you've got all these characters stacked on there. Well, if you play tactics or strategy games, you probably know that sometimes you can't always see who's where, so you've got to have the camera to turn around, and those sorts of conveniences, of course, didn't really exist in the old original version. As you progress in Disgaea, you stack characters on top of each other. You can throw them. There's also something called geo panels, which you also need to be able to operate. So it can be really hard to see what you're doing or where you want to place someone, or on which panel you can do something. It can be really awkward, especially on a small 5-inch screen, and I found it got to me a bit, because you strain your eyes trying to see. So when this remake came out, I thought, well, that's ideal to play it on the TV screen, and boy, I was blown away when I saw it. They really cleaned up the graphics, as you can imagine from the PS2 era, quite a bit sort of fuzzy, blurry, and it looks really good, and you can play it now in great comfort, and I think that's just wonderful. It got me to thinking about a few issues. So I just wanted to show you quickly the little art book that comes with the Disgaea 1 edition on PS4. It's quite nice. It's one of those, I mean, it's cheaply done, it's stapled in the center. But Okay, as they say nowadays, it is what it is. And there's the very first original main character called Lahal, and his sidekick Etna. And the third character, I never know how to pronounce her, whether it's Flon or Flonny. So there you are, a nice little booklet to go with the game. That got me thinking. We have now had another game remade, and that is Disgaea 4, which has also come out on the PlayStation 4. Also with a reversible cover sleeve. And I'll just show you that. And oh, look at that. Very cool. So that is nice, and as you can see, it came with a small A4 poster, and PoodlePa has already laminated that, ready to go up on a wall somewhere, if we have any wall space left, that is. And the reverse is the character Valvatorus, the main character. Okay, so with having now Disgaea 1 and 4 remade, and Disgaea 5, the most recent game, also available not only on PlayStation 4 but on the Switch. So you have Disgaea 1, Disgaea 4 and Disgaea 5 all available on the Switch, which means you can play it either way, TV or handheld, which is great. So that now got me thinking. I thought, where are the other games? We need all of them. I have not heard anything about a possible remake for Disgaea 2 or Disgaea 3. This is Disgaea 2, the intro running here on my Vita. And I'll just get the Disgaea 2 came out for the PS2 in 2006 and as Dark Hero Days for the PSP in 2009-2010. That game is still available on the PlayStation Network, at least in my region, so I assume it's available in the other regions too. And out of all the Disgaea games, I have a special affection for Disgaea 2. I think the reason is that it has such a wonderful story. Disgaea 4 has a very good story. Disgaea 3, which came out on the PS3 and the PS Vita, and I'll just quickly check the dates for you. That was 2008 for the PS3 version and 2012 for the Vita version. PoodlePa loves that intro scene. I see he is drawn to capturing it for you. So that gives me time to put the sleeve back on the Disgaea 4. Now, Disgaea 3, I wasn't quite so taken with the story. And Disgaea 1, being the original game, doesn't really have an awful lot of story. It's really all about the gameplay. So there we are, there's 4 back here. And Disgaea 5, I haven't played an awful lot yet, and the story is okay, but it hasn't quite grabbed me the same way. Now, as you can see, my love for Disgaea 2 is such that I went out and looked for an old second-hand guidebook by Double Jump and got that, and I am so glad I've got it because it's absolutely amazing. As you can see, it's a bit tatty, but it's just full of Disgaea goodness. And I just wanted to read you a little bit from the introduction, because Disgaea is known for its wacky plots and wacky characters, but it's really the script that does it. It's the humor in the script, and if you like it, then I think you will love Disgaea. Now, they wrote in the introduction to Disgaea 2, wow, has it really been 3 years since Disgaea? The only way to do justice to a game like that is to make a guide that's worth buying, keeping, and using for years to come. Quite true, you want to play Disgaea games for years to come. This was an enormous challenge for the Double Jump team, but we think we've risen to meet it. Disgaea 2 is our biggest guide to date, with the longest walkthrough, etc. They have poured an immense amount of love into it, and it really shines through. The story, the world and the story of Disgaea 2 takes place in Veldime, once a world of relatively ordinary humans. With the arrival of Overlord Xenon 15 years ago, though, everything changed. Xenon cursed all the humans, transforming them into monstrous demons. The transformation isn't complete yet, but things are bad enough that most people have forgotten what it's like to be human. Without memories or morals, the altered citizens of Veldime do as they please without any thought for good or evil. And that is the setting for the story. This is the main hero character, Adele. And now here comes the one I want to show you in particular. It's Rosalind. She is Overlord Xenon's one and only daughter, and she will remind you of this as frequently as necessary. Imperious and demanding, she's got the personality of a spoiled princess through and through. Her father loved her so much that he gave her mansions, servants, and showered her with presents of every conceivable type. Her life was one of perfect luxury until Adele's parents came along and ruined it by summoning her into the outside world. That's annoying enough by itself, but the fact that it was part of a scheme to kill her beloved father is the really irritating part. The only proper reaction for a demon princess is, of course, to try to get Adele killed to break the summoning contract. Unfortunately, this is a much harder job than it should be. Adele's ridiculously strong, and he won't stop being nice to her. It's enough to make even a demon start feeling a little guilty. And that's Rosalind. And she is my favourite character. She is such a brat, but she doesn't get on your nerves. She is just incredibly funny. And the sparks that fly between her and Adele are just comic gold. So I wanted to compare that and show you from the most recent Disgaea game, Disgaea 5, I don't know whether it's just me. Those of you who've played Disgaea 5 have to let me know. Here are the main characters. You see there's the male hero called Kilia, and then his female counterpart called Serafina. Now, Serafina is also a spoiled princess. She reminds me in many ways of Rosalind. Similar type of scenario, a similar type of antagonism between the two main characters, but whereas Rosalind is truly entertaining, I find Serafina often rather annoying. She does go on. She is not as funny as Rosalind. So yes, that is a little bit of a proviso I have about Disgaea 5. So my greatest wish is that Disgaea 2, this game, should be remade, remastered into high definition, and brought to PlayStation 4 and the Switch. That would be the greatest thing ever for me, because I just love it. Likewise, to complete the cycle, we really should have Disgaea 3, which would require less work overall, because the graphics are already somewhat better. That really should be reissued as well, I feel. And while we're at it, why not include the extra Disgaea game? It's not a spin-off, it's called Disgaea D2, and that stands for, I just need my little notes here. I think it was called Dimension 2 in Japan, so they called it D2, A Brighter Darkness. That came out in 2013, so it was the 10-year anniversary of the original Disgaea game, and this is a bit of a sequel, and it suffers a bit from sequelitis, I'd have to say. You got the same characters as in Disgaea 1, but they have the problem that they just continue the plot, and the main character, Lahal, is the overlord, and now he has to continue being the overlord, which in itself is not really that fascinating. So I think they had a bit of a problem with the story, and also the script, by all accounts, is not as good as with the other numbered releases of Disgaea. But still, you can always rely on every Disgaea game having good gameplay mechanics and being fun to play for that reason alone. And everybody will have their own Disgaea favourite in terms of characters and story, etc. That's only natural. So today I just wanted to give you a really quick overview and talk about the fact that we have heard nothing about a possible reissue of Disgaea 2 and 3, and I'm sort of just a bit nervous and disappointed about that, because I'd really love to see the Disgaea issues being complete, and everybody on current generation consoles having access to all the Disgaea games would be great, especially going forward into the future. So if you want to know who was the artist, I can tell you that he is called Takehito Harada, and he has done all the Disgaea games, which means you have a really consistent design philosophy behind it, and that's really important. He's done fantastic work. I certainly love the graphics, the character design in Disgaea. If you have any questions, let me know. Any feedback, any comments, I'm more than happy to talk Disgaea all day long, really. Thank you very much for watching. It has been a pleasure. I hope if you haven't played any Disgaea, you'll give it a go. I'll see you around. Keep well. I'm Food for Dogs. Bye-bye.